The singularity of it is something I love, you know. There's only one. You directly experience your view out. You hear about the others. You never actually experience the other views out. You hear about them and accept them deeply. But it's so obvious, isn't it? So visible. One, just one. You can't move it around because there isn't anywhere to move it.
I like that. That makes me go there right away when you say that.
Isn't it wonderful?
Can't move it around.
No.
It's like I know it's true that I can't move it around.
Yeah, yeah. Could you move it just 2 inches to the left, please?
Your void's on crooked.
It's funny.
There's a lovely vividness about seeing, isn't there? An intensification of colours and sharpness of everything. It's wonderful. Things seem to be lit within, from within, somehow. I love the way there's room for everything.
Lots of room.
This is kind of another way to protect the self, not the old way.
Yeah? By not having one, you mean?
No. You still can take care and do proper protection.
Sure.
But it has a different, I don't know, how do you protect yourself from here? It's another look, isn't it?
Mm. Well, I find my organism is quite intelligent.
That's it. That's the answer.
Mm. And it
Well,
knows how to look after number one.
Yes. And the void is extremely intelligent.
The organism.
No, the
yes,
self.
The void is intelligent.
Yes. I mean, that's the only real, there's only one intelligence, isn't there?
Right.
Yours.
Yeah.
I
It's
think probably what I meant was if you relieve the organism, the expression of the burden of of selfhood, it makes it that intelligence available to it in a way.
Yes, yeah.
I'm finding I'm thinking about old age and death a lot differently too with this.
Yes, in what way, Dixon?
It's I think before when I thought of death it felt like leaving town.
Right.
Yeah, and that I would miss things. You know, I'd miss my son and I'd miss seeing him get married and have children and stuff like that. But now it feels like that I would still be part of that. I just wouldn't be here physically.
Yes. One's not going to go anywhere, is one, really?
No.
You can't leave?
You
No.
can check out any time you like, but you can
never leave.
This is the Hotel California. we've had some discussion about death on the Facebook forum, and people trying to come to terms with that and what it means in terms of seeing. And some interesting reactions and reflections from people. But for me, the whole question has become a lot less. I mean, I used to wonder a lot about what happens to you after you die, as if there is an after. You know, what is the afterlife? And I read things like the Tibetan Book of the Dead and that kind of thing to try and prepare myself for that. But since I've been seeing for a while now, I'm really not. I'm quite sanguine about finding out when it happens. Actually, I mean, you know that, and knowing deeply that I can't actually go anywhere. I guess the only thing I'm curious about is what will this, as you said, the void is fulfilling, right? So what will it be filled with when it's not filled with this view? But I won't know. There's no way of knowing until it happens. And then I think, what was it filled with before I was born? Yeah. And was that a problem? Not really. So it might be that we project times onto something where it doesn't belong. Maybe there's no after. Maybe it doesn't make sense to say that. It's like asking, how big is this?
Yes.
I think it is a developmental thing, isn't it? And it's very, very deep. And to discover that who you really are isn't in time, but time is in you. And you don't go anywhere. Things arise and dissolve in you. And where they dissolve to is, you know, nothing is distant. You know, everything is intimately within you. This is such a kind of radically different view from the normal view, and it takes a bit of getting used to if everyone gets used to it, you know. And it's just shocking, really, you know, who one is. It's yes, such a wonderful discovery, isn't it? You know.
It's better than winning the lottery.
One, you know, as who one really is, one will not die. One wasn't born, you know, and isn't in time. I mean, that's just the best news ever. It's a blast. Yes, I mean, it's very, very basic. It's being, isn't it? Being is. What a wonderful thing. And not in time. Time is a sort of invention, isn't it? In a way, it's a brilliant, deeply real in a way.
Kind of hypnosis.
Yes, it's a fantastic invention, really.
Einstein said it was invented just to stop everything happening at once.
Yeah.
Physicists have a big problem with time because it doesn't make sense. So there's a movement in physics now to get rid of time as a fundamental thing. They reckon it's something that arises as a secondary phenomenon.
Yeah.
It arises in us rather than us arising in it, as you were saying.
And yet to function, we need the concept of time.
In the as-if world, time is very important.
This is where you don't have to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Yes, you have both. You enjoy both. You celebrate both. Yes.
And you have a good time.
Good time. I love time, really. You know, I mean, Brilliant. What an incredible thing. I love
You can
space.
plan what you do.
Yes, and there's places to go.
Yeah, we wouldn't have all got here at 9:30.
There wouldn't have been a here, would there, you know?
Wouldn't have been.
You know, this whole workshop has arisen magically, really, out of the emptiness and is, you know, beginning to dissolve back into it in a way, isn't it? You know, we're seeing it's glowing embers now, and you know, at some point I think, whoa, where did, you know, wow, that was an amazing thing come out of the void.
I'm very interested in what happens to the organism as it is more and more conscious expression of this, whatever that, however you say that. I'm very interested in what happens to it in terms of. I think it's good for your health, actually. You know.
Well, you know, they've done this research. Like if you have a certain kind of disease, it wasn't cancer, but it was something you treated with, like a bag, or the way that they treat cancer. And if they just treat you, you recover at blah, 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 right? And if you're meditating or you're awake or your consciousness is in that being place, you actually heal 10 times faster. So that was astounding. They're starting to do more and more research like that. That was like not just double. So it certainly does facilitate healing, and it makes sense it would.
Not only healing, just a general sense of
well-being, period. Well, if
well-being.
it facilitates healing, then it would make well-being.
Yeah. But
you can measure healing.
I've just started to notice what a lovely thing it is to notice how my body feels. You know, what this, you know, the inside feeling story on my body is lovely. It's a kind of singing feeling. It's lovely.
Takes all the stress out of it.
I think that's what it is. I think that's the natural note of your body when it's not. Because I think when you resist your experience, it builds up.
The body chemistry changes.
It must have a correlate in the body. You must armour your body.
Me and Dixie were talking about that in break, because I didn't have coffee for a few months and just had decaf whenever I had it. And then yesterday, I had a tall Mac.
Wow.
Well, not only did it make me completely high, I mean, I did love it, but I was a non-stop talking speed freak, and I didn't come down. I couldn't sleep all night. I didn't come down till 4:30 this morning.
Wow, good that
My
you made
body, because it hadn't had any caffeine, was pinging off the walls. And she said, what made you have it? And it was like, it's what you're talking about, that difference between going with the whole thing and your idea, you know, like, well, that would be like a good thing to drink. But now, that wasn't a good thing to drink. You know what I mean? It makes me even, there's not a lot of resistance from me in listening to that, you know, about paying attention more and not doing that kind of stuff. But also, it encourages the in-syncness. That my basic decisions are usually more in sync than they were last year, and then more in sync than they were 2 years ago, and more in sync than they were 5 years ago.
And you start noticing the times when you are in resistance, they sort of stand out in greater relief, don't they? I mean, I know.
Yeah, that's it. And it actually seems stupid.
Yeah, and you tend to tolerate, well, when I say tolerate, you tend to become aware of your resistance earlier, and therefore it kind of starts to wake up, you know, earlier and earlier. And I think that's part of the development process, is actually being aware of resistance at more and more subtle stages, so that it doesn't build into something, you know, damaging to yourself and others, really.
That makes sense. So that would make your health better.
It's going to probably have an effect, yeah. I think a lot of bad health is just due to mental stress, actually.
Yes, and
mental emotional stress.
realizing your body is the universe that's your body, isn't it? There isn't a separate body. You don't have a separate body. You just be everything.
Can I share that I had cancer 3 times, and the second and third time I was told I was going to die. The second time was when I used to go into this space, and over time would go and walk myself through a visualization, and then I would go into become one with the all. And it was in there over time that I would just ask, and as you said, it comes from within us. I should think it came from the source, the God source. I believed it came from God source, but I was just told what to do. I knew what to do, and I had miraculous results. I went back to studies because I knew what I'd experienced wasn't being taught in our institutions, and I had a calling to do that. So I went to study. I got off my practices, stopped doing it, stopped coming from that one space without realising it, and anyway it returned, and this time I was told nothing they could do. I didn't have to do as much the third time as I did the second time because I'd learned it all, I just hadn't integrated it. But I was often told, go into the void, which was different to this space. The direction, the sense was different. And it was about abandoning or letting go. But everything we've been touching on today has been so in tune and talking about what that was. And yet I never saw it as coming from this space. But I did go into a deep space, and I did become that one with the all. That letting, sort of one with nature, as Chris was saying earlier. All these things that came up today were all so pertinent to me. And the healing was profound and fast. Yeah. It did leave me with scarring, because I had some very radical treatment. It was experimental, but and I still have to deal with a lot of the aftermath. But I was healed. Yeah, it was really interesting. But for years, that was what my work was. But down the track, I found that I had shifted, like Chris was talking about today, just lots of changes, and coming to this group is sort of bringing me back into a space that I've needed, because I'm with like-minded people who are having and have had experiences. So just the profoundness of the oneness is what's really struck me again today. This connection, the water with that bird sound, just little things, and it's a new concept to me, the headless thing. But I really do know it. I do know it. It's there for all of us. Yeah, for all of us.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, we're just about finished. I just invite each of us, if we want, just to reflect a bit, or a few sentences, or perhaps just on being together today. Any thoughts?
It's been wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Where is my mind?
Where is my mind?
That's what
There, not here.
In the lead up to this, because I was organising it, I had a bit of stress about getting enough people here to do the film, and if Richard was coming all the way out from England, and would we have enough people, and how it was going to go. And about the middle of last week, I just went, I've done everything I can. And since then, the whole thing has just flowed beautifully. And it just reminds me again and again, you just let things happen. Do your best and then let things happen. And it's always good what happens out of that space. And it's that non-violent approach. You set things up as best you can, and then you let them run their course. And it's been just wonderful. Also wonderful having Richard with us too.
I actually noticed that in your second email, that you'd let go.
All right.
That you were at peace with yourself. But not in the first one.
I was still trying to drum up the bodies on the seats.
Yeah, I didn't look at my emails for a few days.
Oh, okay.
So I had to...
I can just feel a deeply into this happening, Richard.
Yes.
Lovely.
Yes. it's delightful for me to come back and meet new friends and old friends. And with the old friends, you see how it deepens and deepens and deepens, you know, in a different way in each person, you know, but it's just, what a fantastic tool, resource, you know.
It's really good to talk about it with people who enjoy headlessness and just exploring what's happened and talking about. I really liked that, enjoyed that session where we talked about what had happened to us, and it's kind of so interesting. Everyone's different point of view and different experience. It's really like we are all made really individual, even though we're all here. We're the one out here. We are so individual and unique and different, and it's just been great with discovering headlessness, just to enjoy how I am, how this bit is in the world.
I'd just like to thank Sam and Navi for organising this and for your presence and for Peter's input with recording it.
Yes. Well done, Peter.
Well done, Peter.
I just had to stand still, that's all.
You'll be doing a hell of a lot of editing next.
So shall we do a no-head circle to complete?
I'd just like to say thank you very much for bringing it all together.
Yeah,
It's all right.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
together.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Great day.
Thank
I love
you.
your scarf.
Thank you. Yes,
Thanks for organising it.
it's lovely to meet
Yeah.
you.
I
Thank
went
you.
and I got my scarf just to look like you.